as of other summers, you've been part of the Carousel at the River, and it's going to be coming up in June this year, June 13th it starts, going all the way to the 15th. And folks, let me tell you, I've been down there watching this because I've done some MC work, just introduced some of the cultural groups that are out there, and he is in charge. Let me tell you something. You know, you've been really...
Well, I don't know about that.
Well, but what I mean by that is you're totally engaged with not only whether it's the Indian group coming out to do the dance, you welcome them. It's not like you're standing on the side cheering everybody on, they're doing their dance or performances or singing
My job.
or cultural thing. So tell us about Carousel and your relationship with being part of that at our...
Well, let me just say
downtown.
that Kathy Thomas and the Multicultural Council, as you know, they're the energy behind this. And it was quite a few years ago now that Kathy and I had a discussion, because that's getting into the music business and the artistic direction of an event and molding that event so it has its own personalities is something I've been doing for a long time. A lot of folks here who know me as the flute player don't know that I've got 9 major festivals that I run. There's 9 of them. I've even got country festivals I run. And when I say I run them, I artistically direct them, I take care of production. So when Kathy and I talked, and I said, you're the Multicultural Council, you have this incredible venue down on the river that's gotten so much better in the last few years with our big stage. I live here. I do all these other events everywhere else. I'll be more than happy to get involved in this if we can create a real sense of a world music festival. You're the Multicultural Council. We celebrate the diversity in this market. We're not just going to book bands. We're going to have themes. You see what we've had down there in the last. We've had Gato Barbieris and Kenny G's and Four Tops and Ohio players, and this year, as you know, it's Jose Feliciano because there's a Latin Day. And so the dialogue started, and unconditionally, because believe me, it's not like we have a big staff of 30 and these are hardcore concert promoters. You know how sweet they are. I think we've managed to raise the bar and bring world-class world music to that riverfront. And so I've been loving it. And as far as being engaged, you know, you're either going to do it or you're not. So when they asked me to do it, I'm all in. You know, I'm down there. I'm dragging the sound and the lights and my engineers and the back line and trying to steer this thing in a real artistic way. It's not a carnival we're creating.
No, right.
I want it to be a cultural event, and but those folks work so hard down there.
But I mean, because I've seen you, and you know, without being too overly complimentary on this show, 'cause usually have politicians, I can't really be overly complimentary, but I've even had the mayor on, so I really sometimes I compliment him once in a while.
You do?
Once in a while, but I think the thing is, because I've seen you there, and you're just as excited watching a young kid 4 or 5 do their traditional dance. That you know the grandparents are in the audience, and I think that's what the celebration of Carousel is. Everybody to get down there and see our Windsor-Essex, and we know by facts, you know, the information that we have that so many such cultural diversity, and people from every country are here, and it's quite a celebration. There's vendors down there, so if you've never been down there, I want to encourage you to be a part of it, right?
Yeah, no, I love it. For me, it was the perfect connection. I couldn't quite figure out, I didn't want to create, I got enough events.
Yeah.
So I certainly did, and I never really thought that a big jazz festival per se really was the perfect fit in Windsor. In all fairness, I know Windsor people love jazz, but the idea of creating some of these other events that I do, never thought that was the perfect fit. I thought this was, you know, where you can bring in some obscure acts that no one's ever heard. You can bring in Ashley McIsaacs. You can bring in, you know, Sultans of String. I mean, you know how diverse that lineup has been. For me, it's fun. It's creative. And I still think there's a big ceiling there. I think that event will continue to grow in that way. There's a lot of acts that are on my wish list. I'd love to see Gino Vanelli down there. He's Canadian, he's Italian.
Yeah, right on.
We've already had Keiko Matsui's, we've already had Hiroshima's. I mean, if you look at our little history, and it's a little under the radar, there's been some real magic down there. You know, I mean, the night I'm talking Kenny G into coming in. I mean, you know, we've been friends for years.
Right.
I said, Kenny, I got a gig for us, and first I had to explain where Windsor was. You know, and all, I mean.
But what a nice thing with the investment that we've had for that beautiful stage, and people have really embraced it. So before we go to commercial break, ladies, we've got something very special. That going to commercial break is going to be the one and only Alexander Zonjic. Play whatever he'd like, and we'll be back.